Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Koch here for Wildwood Guitars. I'm with the mighty David Grissom, warlord of the night. Texan guitar savage, is that wrong to say?
You know, coming from you, it seems like the perfect thing to say.
I like that kind of talk.
Yeah.
What do you got in your hands here, my friend?
What I have here is my signature model guitar, the DGT, made by PRS, but this is the very first one made with a solid mahogany body. Which we are going to do a limited run of 100, I believe.
Indeed.
My first PRS guitar that I bought in 1985, which dates me a little bit, was seafoam green and all mahogany. So it makes sense to have that.
It's kind of a returning.
To come back around.
A coming home, if you will.
Yeah. So anyway, I got it today. It's the first time I've played it, and I got dibs on it.
That's right. It sounded magnificent.
Well,
now, these little sexy pickups you got in here with that little coil tapperoonie, tell us a little bit about that action, because it is truly a unique specimen in that regard.
Yes, the bane of split coil, the bane of my existence when it came to trying to use split coils was that when you did the split coil thing, you lost half the volume.
Right on.
And all the bottom end. So what we tried to achieve was to get, the way I described it to Paul was I wanted a 3/4 tap. I didn't want a half tap. I wanted a 3/4 tap, and we tried 1,000 different ways of doing it. Some of which involved capacitor networks, and it was very, you know, I just didn't like the idea of a bunch of stuff down in there in the control cavity that I couldn't see it, but I knew it was there.
Right, I hear you.
So anyway,
I just like saying control cavity, but well, that's just me.
Yeah, cavity. And we're not talking dentistry, are we? Anyway, the end result is that we have something that's extremely usable. That on the bridge pickup, for me, I can do tele bridge pickup sounds, and on the neck pickup, I can get a really great stratty
thing, yeah,
without losing low end and volume.
Right on.
But the pickups themselves, the actual pickups, I spent literally a year coming up with these pickups. And there's the guy that does all my guitar repair in Austin, Ed Reynolds. He's a brilliant and you know, crazy.
The Ed Reynolds?
The Ed Reynolds.
Never heard of him. Sorry, that's the oldest one in the book.
Well, if you lived in Austin, you would have heard of him. You would have heard of him for maybe more than the obvious reasons. But he's a mad scientist dude, and he built a guitar where we could mount pickups on these rings that would slide in and out. And then he put alligator clips on the end of the leads and with terminals on the top of the guitar, so that we could switch out pickups in 15 seconds. And in the past, whenever you A/B pickups, you had to go through the whole, take the strings off, unscrew, unsolder, put a new set in, solder, put strings back on, which is about a half-an-hour operation, at which point you have no perspective on what came before. So by building this guitar, we were able to really truly A/B all these different pickups that we were coming up with. And we also, to sort of get a perspective and a baseline, we got pickups from pretty much every major manufacturer, boutique, larger. And at the end of the day, the real benchmark was my 59 335, which has got really wonderful PAFs in it, and I've owned a few and played lots of PAF guitars, and they're all different. PAFs, you know, people say I need PAFs. Well, that's a range that's this wide. You know, that run the gamut from weak and kind of anemic and harsh to hot and beautiful, and you know, if you really want overdrive, to somewhere in the middle where there's kind of a sweet spot.
Right.
And my 335 was a little bit more, you know, a little hotter, but it didn't sacrifice any of the clarity, and it had this bloom on the top. You know, when you hold a note, you can almost hear it go to the upper harmonic, and that's what I really went for in these pickups. And it took, I mean, Paul probably built me 30 sets of pickups.
Oh, good Lord.
To get to, and we found that there were so many variables that really influenced it. But once we nailed it, we went back and A/B'd it to all those other pickups, and I mean, it works.
Indeed, there's no question.
It works.
Now tell us about some of the guitars. You're doing a unique run with Wildwood, right? There's some specific Wildwood guitars that are available?
Yeah, they've done some amazingly cool things. They did a run of stop tailpiece DGTs, which Steve, who is Mr. Wildwood, and a definite tone enthusiast and amazing vintage collector. We got together and kind of came up with the specs on it, and well, obviously, it's kind of almost a misnomer to call it a DGT because the T stands for tremolo, and it's a stop tail guitar, but I was really intrigued about the possibility of doing this run, especially with Steve, who I knew was willing to do whatever whatever we both agreed on that would make the ultimate guitar. And consequently, we came up with something that really blew me away. It's a different animal, you know. When you have the tremolo in the guitar, you're going to get a little nice compression and a liveliness from the springs in the back of the guitar. The top end is going to be a little more forgiving. The stop tail guitar is more like a more immediate thing, which is it's beautiful. I mean, I love having both. Ultimately, I kind of live here because I use the tremolo so much in a really subtle way, you know, to get that swimmy shimmer on a lot of chords. So we've done that. We did that run, which is, I went up there and played all 20 of them, and I'm like, it was really hard. I did a video on each one, and it was really challenging. By about the 11th or 12th, I'm like, they all sound incredible, and it was so interesting to do that. But and in the meantime, I was just up in the private stock area here, and got together with Steve, and we picked out 2 guitars that we spec'd out from scratch, and he's just so. His thing is tone.
Indeed.
I mean, absolutely. He didn't want to do anything that really doesn't relate to how the guitar is going to sound. And he's also so gracious in that he wants me to like what he does. So he's really been kind, and we've developed a nice friendship over the years, or over the last year, really, where he kind of feels, he seems to be almost, he enjoys saying, is it okay if I do one in this color and that color? I'm like, man, that sounds great, but, you know, but it's nice to have a dealer that really is that gracious.
Indeed. Indeed, my friends. David Grissom here at NAMM 2012. Thanks for talking with us.
Feeling very short at the moment.
Well, I was leaning down. Well, my son's going to be here on Saturday, and he's even taller than I am, so it's going to be truly menacing.
Well,
we will go to battle.
Yes, yes.
But anyways, thanks so much. Nice to see you as always.
Yeah, you too, man.
For Wildwood Guitars, Greg Koch out.